All right, yes, it's opposite day in the Borisenko household. It started this morning when the t-shirt on the top of the pile happened to be this gag Communist Party shirt that I got to basically prank my husband, who's Ukrainian, not Russian, back in the day. And I was like, why not wear that? And then I took a picture of it and put it on Twitter. And then everyone was like, Carlin, if you're really going to do opposite day, you have to dye your hair blue. Well, as it so happens, I happen to have a can of blue hairspray that just sitting around. I hadn't done anything with it in a while, and lo and behold, here we go. Don't worry, it washes right out. It will not be like this forever. I'm just having a little bit of fun because why not? There wasn't really much going on today. I was a little bit bored, and this is apparently what happens when I get bored. But the other thing, the much more important thing that we're going to talk about is what happens when the media gets a little bit bored. And I think that they maybe, I don't know why the media is bored. I don't know why they're making crazy crap up, but they clearly are, because in the last couple of days, these nonsense stories about Donald Trump potentially dropping out of the presidential race have come up. This one on Fox News. This is from a Fox Business contributor. Rough polling stretch has GOP operatives asking, could Trump drop out? Now, listen, let's you know what? I can't even do it. I was going to do something about, let's live in the land of make-believe for a second and consider that this is actually an option, but I can't even go that far. Folks, Donald Trump is not dropping out of the presidential race. It is not going to happen. It is not going to happen anytime in this universe. It makes absolutely no sense. The psychological profile that he is a fighter, and he is going to fight to the very end. And he's going to do that because he's already convinced that he's going to win. This is how he won the presidential race in the first time. Listen, I used to use this example all the time, even when I hated Trump. What I have to give Trump credit for is that he has absolute tunnel vision. He can visualize success to such a degree that he can convince himself that his success is inevitable. And I am convinced that that is part of what got him to win the presidential race the first time around, because he didn't listen to any of the naysayers. He put on his blinders, said, nope, 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 this is the way it's going to go. He convinced himself of his success, and so he acted as though he'd already won, and then he won. And it's going to be the same time around this time. It's going to be the same exact thing, man. Same exact thing. Listen, I know Trump has looked a little haggard lately. There are pictures of him after the Tulsa rally where he kind of had his tie undone. He looked a little bit haggard, a little bit tired. Guess what? Presidents get tired. And so far as aging in office goes, Trump is doing pretty well. Look at pictures of Obama before he got elected, and then after his first term, he aged substantially more than Trump is. So Trump is doing pretty well. I think this is nonsense, but let's just consider it, I suppose, for a moment. A stretch of lackluster polling for President Trump has some Republican operatives nervous about the president's re-election prospects in November, with some even floating the possibility for the first time that Trump could drop out if his poll numbers don't rebound. That is basically the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. It's too early, but if the polls continue to worsen, you could see a scenario where he drops out. One GOP operative who asked to remain anonymous because obviously, I've heard the talk, but I doubt it's true. Another said, my bet, he drops if he believes there's no way to win. Donald Trump believes, I'm more sure of this than I am sure of most things. Donald Trump already believes that his success is assured. And, frankly, that actually might be the thing that's his downfall. I have said repeatedly that if Donald Trump loses, it will be because of the hubris of himself, frankly, and probably more importantly, of his supporters. Because I hear supporters all the time say, Carlin, we don't need to fight. We don't need to speak up. We show up and vote. And that's all we need to do. And that's bullshit. Because if Trump loses, it's going to be because everyone who wanted him to win did not fight hard enough for him to win. But there is no way in this universe that he's dropping out of this contest. This is from Charles. I don't know who Charles is, but he's a Fox Business contributor. GOP operatives are, for the first time, raising the possibility that Donald Trump could drop out of the race if his poll numbers don't rebound. Over the weekend, I spoke to a sample of major players. One described Trump's current psyche as fragile. Fragile. Oh my god. These people are literally just making things up. I'm not convinced yet. He's got time, and he's running against an opponent who is literally hiding in his basement. Plus, the public isn't focusing yet on just how left-wing Joe Biden has become, so much so that he can't bring himself to denounce the rioting. There hasn't even been a debate yet. There hasn't even been a dang convention yet. There has been no direct comparison in the minds of the public between these two people, except Trump is constantly orange man bad, orange man bad, orange man bad in the media every single day. Literally no one is making the case for Joe Biden. This race hasn't even begun yet, and they're already talking about Trump dropping out because of low poll numbers. Please, you know what? Listen, I'm not even going to humor this idea anymore because I want to look at actual numbers. I want to look at people who are actually voting in primaries to show that Trump is not going to be paying attention to low poll numbers. It just makes no sense. So what we're going to look at is some of the turnout figures, people who have actually gotten off their butts to go and vote in primaries, and we're going to compare how many people are voting for Donald Trump in the primaries and how he's doing with how people are voting for Joe Biden, or frankly, even if people are voting for Joe Biden. So let's just take a look at a couple. I've just pulled a couple up that had easily accessible information. New Mexico Secretary of State, Joe Biden won his primary with 73% of the vote. 73% of the vote on June 2nd. Bernie Sanders isn't even running anymore, and he's still got 15% of the vote. Donald Trump won with 91% of the vote. Now let's think about this. Why is this important? Donald Trump is basically running unopposed. People don't really need to go out and vote for him, but they are. They're going out and voting for him because they're excited to vote for him. Look at these numbers. 144,000 people voting for the incumbent president to win the primary, compared to Joe Biden getting 181,000. So Joe Biden's got more votes in the primary, but it's actually technically a contested primary. Donald Trump, in an uncontested primary, 144,000 votes. Let's move on to Montana. Montana, Joe Biden, 74%. Donald Trump, 94%. Donald Trump got 200,000 votes in Montana. Joe Biden, listen, let's throw this out for a second. 149,000 votes cast in the entire Democratic primary between Biden, Sanders, and Warren and other. Donald Trump in an uncontested primary in Montana, 200,000 votes. 200,000 votes, more than all the Democratic candidates combined. Of course, Montana is going to be a conservative state, so let's look at Oregon. Oregon, Joe Biden only got 66% of the vote. In Oregon, Bernie Sanders, almost 21% of the vote. 400,000 people voting for Biden, 600,000 overall. Let's look at Trump. Uncontested, 93% of the vote. 361,000 people are voting for Trump compared to 408,000 people for Biden. Again, Biden has a little bit more, but Donald Trump is running uncontested. People are still coming out to vote for him. Let's look at Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania, 79% of the vote for Biden, so he's going to do it a little bit better. 92% for Trump. Trump got over 1 million votes in Pennsylvania, running uncontested again. And the reason I'm emphasizing this is people don't have to go out and vote for Trump. They don't have to. They're doing it because they want to. Let's look at this. This isn't as pretty as the other ones, but I actually think this is one of the more important ones we could look at. This is from Wisconsin. Okay, this is from Wisconsin. Let's just see. Winner, Joe Biden with 581,000 votes, only 62% of the vote in Wisconsin. Donald Trump, 616,000 votes. Donald Trump in Wisconsin, a battleground state, got more votes in the uncontested Republican presidential primary than Joe Biden got in the contested Democratic primary. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? And what we're seeing here is essentially, it's all about enthusiasm. It's all about how excited people are to vote for Trump. We talked about this back at, I think, the beginning of April. This came out at the end of March. And this essentially shows that, man, Trump is kicking Biden's ass when it comes to enthusiasm. So levels of enthusiasm, strong enthusiasm for a candidate can help boost turnout on election day, or must have, particularly for Democrats who are relying more on motivating less frequent voters to the polls. While trailing Trump by 29 points is in high level enthusiasm, Biden makes up the difference in somewhat enthusiastic. They're trying anything they can to rationalize this. So look at this. Of Trump's supporters, and again, this was back in March, but we're gonna look at some more recent stuff. 53% of them are super psyched to vote for Trump, opposed to 24% who are very excited to vote for Biden. No one is excited about Biden. Absolutely no one. Then we have the somewhat, 32% are somewhat excited to vote for Trump. 49% are like, meh, yeah, I guess I'll vote for Biden, whatever. And then we have 26% of Biden voters who are just not excited about him at all, compared to 14% of Trump voters. Now, this was a minute ago, so let's take a look at some more recent data from The Hill. Trump faces sinking polls, but has enthusiasm and economy on his side. Registered voters who indicated that they would vote for Uncle Joe were asked, is that a vote for Joe Biden or a vote against Donald Trump? A remarkable 60% said they were voting against Donald Trump. This is of Biden's voters, okay? People who are voting for Joe Biden, 60% of them say that they are voting against Donald Trump, compared to only 37% who say they were voting for Joe Biden. Now, let's look at the opposite. Among the groups saying they would pull the lever for Donald Trump, 70% say they were voting for the president. Only 27% said they were voting against Biden. That's unbelievable. 60% of the people who say they're voting for Biden are doing it because they hate Donald Trump, not because they actually support Joe Biden. So I think that, listen, Trump is seeing all these numbers, and you gotta understand too, I mean, they've already been through a cycle where the polls just got things massively, massively wrong. And so I think they're probably looking at that the same way again this time. No matter how you slice it, Trump is not dropping out of this race. It is stupid. Given this data, given that you have data that says that 70% of people are voting for Trump versus 27% say they're voting against Biden, and then you're looking at the same data for Biden, and 60% of them say they're voting against Trump, the enthusiasm for Biden is not there. Trump knows the enthusiasm for Biden is not there. Everyone knows the enthusiasm for Biden is not there. Do you really think, for 1 second, that Donald Trump is going to drop out of this race and give in to Joe Biden? Listen, man, if you actually believe that's a possibility, I've got a bridge to sell you. I do. Reach out, be in touch. My information's in the contact below. All right, folks, that's what I've got for this video. Crazy town, crazy town. But you know what's even more crazy? Is that yesterday, social media across a bunch of different platforms purged a whole bunch of conservatives. And that's why I'm really working on building up my presence on alternative platforms like Parler, Gab, Minds, Locals, all these things. The information for each of those is in this video. It's like right next to me somewhere, but it's also in the description below. And really, the best place to find me right now is on Parler. I'm actually really enjoying Parler. Parler is really nice. There's no arguing, no bickering, there's no censorship. Parler right now reminds me of Twitter back in the early days. So if you're on Parler, or if you're not on Parler, definitely sign up. If you are on Parler, give me a follow. I'm at Carlin. It's just my first name. And dude, comment at me, echo one of my posts, tell me you followed me from this video. I'll totally follow you back, and we can have some fun conversations there. But let's build Parler up. A lot of people are moving to it. It's beginning to become a nice, robust community. I'm really excited about it, and I hope you'll join me over there.